How's it going, guys? Welcome to this week's live stream. Can you hear me? Is my mic working? So I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds, see if anybody jumps in, and then we'll get right to it. Who we got in chat? I know we've got Vaping Bic in chat. Who else is watching? What you doing today? What you vaping on? I'm starting off today with a cup of tea, a warm cup of tea. What you vaping on? So I'm still vaping on this Bonza Pro. I haven't put that down since I bought it, really. And I'm vaping it on my DIY homemade box mod that I made. Parallel 18650. They're the internals. I've got some ODB booby wraps on there. That's with MOSFET. Nice. Great flavour, can't fault it in any way I've vaped it, which I've said on many streams in the past. So if you're looking at getting a Bonza Pro, I can highly recommend it. So we do have the Vaping Bic in chat. Don't know who else is watching. If you'd like to comment. Or if you just like to watch, just watch. I don't always comment on live streams. I just like to watch. Oh, kangaroo donut raspberry jam. I do like a donut juice. All right, John, how's it going? Thanks for joining me. Oh, week was good. It's been really warm here. I'm in the UK, so you probably already know, John, if you're in the UK, it's been really warm. Yesterday was horrendous for me, and today isn't too bad. It isn't too bad. It is warm, but not too bad. Like I say, I am starting off with a cup of tea today. I do have a drink there, my normal coffee stout from Aldi. I've just been so busy that I haven't been able to do some beer shopping. So I do have one there. It's been in the freezer, so it is frozen solid. So by the time we get a bit along in the stream, it is warm. It should defrost. So thanks for joining, people that have joined. I appreciate it. So juice I'm vaping on today is just some of my normal G14 classified juice. Let me get that up there. And that's not the name of it, it's just what I call it, because I cannot talk about this juice at all. And it goes very well with a kind of cup of tea. Oh, Netherlands, yeah. So what temperature does it normally get where you are, Vaping Bic? Because obviously I don't live in the Netherlands, so that's what I'm vaping on in this, by the way. Got sidetracked. If I'm not always looking at the camera, I'm sorry, I'm looking at two monitors, obviously my computer with chat and everything, and also another monitor which is displaying what I can see, what you can see, basically. That is a nice juice. I wish I could talk about it, but that's my benchmark juice for testing. Right, guys, got a few people now watching. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Welcome to tonight's live stream. So, as always, I will show you what I'm going to be building on. So this week is going to be an RTA, single coil RTA. I'm going to be making a coil Okay, it's going to be an alien, but a different variant, similar to 2 weeks ago when I did the 2-core aliens. So if you're interested in making multi-core aliens, this stream might be a bit educational for you as well. So I'm working with one camera, so I will be moving you about, try and get you up close so you can see what I'm doing. We'll have a look at the RTA that I've chosen for tonight's stream, and then we'll make the coil, and then I'll pick a device. I think it's about being the same temperature here, but it's planning on getting hotter as the days go. I think we're getting up to about 30 degrees by the weekend, the start of next week. Make a coil anyway, choose a device. So I'm probably going to go regulated because I've been using Mech's past couple of weeks. It is my go-to device, but I've got some regulated devices, so I might as well. So I will be moving the camera around and working with one camera. So let's get started. Thanks for joining, everybody that has joined. And while I'm at it, don't forget to hit that like button and possibly the subscribe button if you haven't already. So move you here. Just you a bit. Oh, right. What can't make up its mind what weather it wants to be. Vape and bake. So let me adjust my camera so you can see a little bit better. There we are. So I'm going to be doing this RTA. This is about 2018-ish. So it is that one. Does anybody know or familiar that's watching what this RTA is? And I'll just adjust my camera so we can go in a bit close. So it's a top airflow single coil RTA. So I'm just going to adjust you down a bit like that. That might give it away a bit. No, not the Blaze Solo. Are you familiar with that logo? This is about 2018, this RTA. No, definitely not the Blaze. Let me. Can't see properly because it's blue, but I don't know if there is a logo on that side. There it is. Trying to do it so you can see it a little bit better. It's not a coil art, no. So this one is the Serpent Elevate by SMM, or if you've been vaping as long as me, you might know him as Suck My Mod, Matt from Suck My Mod. It is the Serpent Elevate RTA, made by Rotofo. Top airflow. Yeah, Suck My Mod, yeah. But I believe he had to change his name. So it's now, I think it's Matt from SMM. His channel is now. So just put the deck away. So bubble glass, it did originally come with a straight glass. I don't normally go through the contents of the box, but you get your normal RTA, comes with a straight glass, spare bubble glass, and you get all the extra O-rings and post screws. Top fill, it's not a quarter turn, but it is screwed and it isn't that many twists to get it off. Some nice style kidney shaped holes there. And then on the opposite side, these blank spots is where your airflow goes down into the chimney. And as you can see, the chimney is sort of like there with space around it. That's where your airflow comes through. So I'll just pop that back on there. And that is the deck. So like I say, it's a single coil RTA. So you've got 4 post holes, so it doesn't matter which way your coil has been wrapped, you're able to install it in there. You've got your airflow at the side, so that empty space above the chimney will come down the sides and go through this hole here. And as you can see on the inside of the deck, there is a hole there. So I would say, so depending on what coil you put in, a restricted direct long. It is Vaping Bic. I love this. I'm not much of a single coil user. I'm more, you know, dual coil, or maybe if I'm using a series, I might use a single coil. But yeah, it is a lovely little flavour banger. And then you've got your holes at the side there to drop your wicks in. So it is sort of like elevated a bit, the deck, hence the name Serpent Elevate. No, so it's just side Vaping Bic. So it comes through that hole there. So in there you've got your chimney there with the space just around it. So it goes down there, down the side, and then through this back bit. So it's a hole. So like I say, depending on, oh yeah, under, you're right. Vaping Bic, you're right. I apologise. Under coil airflow as well. You're right. Under coil and direct. I apologise, sir. So yeah, under coil and side flow airflow. And as you can see, your wicking ports there are closed, they're not open. Underneath 510. So it is safe to use on a hybrid mech mod if you so wish. Basically, that's the RTA. So that's what we're going to be building on. And what I want to do for this RTA is an alien, but I'm doing a 4-core alien. So 4 strands of wire instead of your normal standard 3-core aliens. So like the one that I did a couple of weeks back where it was a 2-core, you have to do your D-core off a different size wire. So yeah, I'm still a cloud chaser Vaping Bic. I've been doing it for about 11-12 years now, and I just haven't got away from that, you know, open airflow, dual core, nice, hot, warm, saturated vape flavour. Can't beat it. So I'm going to get set up. If you have any questions, please ask. Or if you hashtag replay crew, feel free to make comments after the live stream. I'll go through a bit of what I've got and we'll go from there. I'll pivot you up a bit so you can see better to what I'm doing and how I'm setting my stuff up. Single coil RTAs for the missus. Like I say, I'm not normally a single coil RTA, but if I want some full-on flavour, I do pick up this RTA. I do like this for a single core. So I've got my little table here. It was a normal table that I've just cut the legs down a bit and then obviously taken the borders off again so it's flat. I use my RDA.s Pro drill. So it's just what I've got. If you've got a enormous cordless drill, you can use that. That's not a problem. I use this core holder, keeps my wires straight. And as always, I use this nutcracker just to clamp this bit at the back and just lock it in, and then I'm locked in. I'll do it about there. Sorry if you hear traffic in the background. Hi Tracy Hughes. Thanks for dropping in. I appreciate it. Good to see you. So clamp that down, just keeps everything nice and intact. It's not wobbling about or moving. This is my swivel setup. Vise, bench vise, piece of wood, some ball bearing swivels. So like I've said before, if you are getting any swivels, because I got these with the RDA.s Pro kit, go for the ball bearing swivels. They're the best. Anything less will mess up on you. So some big ball bearing swivels, which you can get online or at a fishing tackle shop. And that's what I've got there. So I am doing a 4-core Alien. So I'm going to be using my preferred wire, which is 26 gauge. Okay, so there's going to be 4 strands of that instead of 3. So I need to do my decore off a different size wire. So like 2 weeks ago, I did a 2-core wire and I had to do my decore on a thinner wire because there's less wires, less space. Because I'm adding a wire, okay, I need to do my decore off a thicker wire. So it's either normally 2 gauges above if you're taking away a wire, 2 gauges below if you're adding a wire, so a thicker wire. So I'll be doing my decore off a 24 gauge wire. So my Alien part or my wrap will be 36 gauge, both NI 80. It's just my preferred wire other than Kenthal. So I'll be doing my decore with it being 26 and I'm adding a wire. I'll be doing my decore off a piece of 24 gauge. So I'm not going to need much wire for this build. It's only a single coil. So got some wire cutters, some bent nose pliers that have got no teeth in it. Keep it like that. So I'm going to pull off my strands of 26 gauge that I will need. So as always, I will grab and grip the end of my wire with my pliers and then pull a piece off like that. So it's thin wire, so all I'm going to do is pull and then tug. When you feel a bit of release or a bit of a stretch, you have a straight piece of Kenthal like that. So for this build, I'm only doing 1 coil. So I want to be, I like extra just to play around with. So I'll go with 18 centimeters for each of the bits. So that's 18 centimeters, 180 millimeters. And I'm sorry if you're in a country that deals with inches. I do not know what it is in inches. So again, give it a little tug and a pull and it goes straight. So I want to get another piece and do about the same amount, which is 18. So That's my second piece. Keeping an eye on chat, making sure nobody's commented. So appreciate everybody that's joined today. So I've bent it just slightly. So you probably notice I haven't got my binoculars on today, and it's because I forgot to just pick them up. I will pick them up when I get to the more intricate detail stuff. So again, 18. And one more piece which will make it 4 cores. So I'll pull again and do a little stretch so it goes straight. And I'll do the same 18. So I've got my 4 cores just there. Just pop that away. So I've got my 4 cores of 26 gauge, all this round about the same length. So I'll just put them to one side at the moment. Yeah, true. So excuse me. So I'm going to pull out a piece of thing. I don't think I'm going to be able to stretch this. So I'm just going to get myself a nice piece, which should be good about there. So you want, when you're doing your decor, you want slightly a longer piece to do your decor on, because obviously the stretch and everything. So because I can't stretch this, just pop this in your drill and give it a spin, which is what I'll do right now and show you. So if you haven't got a core holder like you have here, then just stick it in the end of your drill. This just helps me with the coils that I make, but you do exactly the same if you just got a normal drill. So I do use these so I can see, because I'm, you know, not great close up. So there is a little divot in there. I'm just going to clamp that down. And then I'm going to stretch this out. So they'll probably end up with a kink in it, but I'll show you how to take that out. So you just want to hold it taut and spin it like that. So it will be straight, as you can see, but there is a little kink just there. You can't see it. Let me just move this wire out of the way. So there is a little kink just there. So what I want to do is I want to put my pliers before the little kink, which is just about here. You can't see it very well, so just start off your drill, hold it light. You want it to spin and then just pull, and then it'll take that kink out the rest of your wire, and then stop there. So taking the kink out, that's perfect. I am going to leave that in because I will need it. So I'll take that out of the way. Got my 36 gauge. Dr. Cole doing surgery. At one point when I didn't know how to do that vaping pick, I would have chopped that little end piece off. But 36 gauge, I'm just going to, what I am going to do is, I'm just going to release this just to make it easier for my decor. I'm going to stick an L in it, just so I've got something to wrap my wire around in here. Something I always forget to do, but yeah, it just makes it easier for me to wrap my wire around. So like always, there is a little center point in there that the wire lays in. So I'm going to do that, lock it in, and as you can see, I've got like a little piece of wire there I can put it on. This end, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to stick an L in, just makes it easier as well for me to load into my swivel. So I am keeping tension on it while I am putting an L on it, so I don't bend it in any way. So I'm just going to pull this across a bit. I'm not locking it down yet, I'm just loading this in. So I've put my L in my swivel like that. I'm pulling away this way, and then I'm just going to wrap that wire round like so and lock that in. And then now I'm going to pull my swivel and vise away. So like always, I always say you want a bit of tension but not too much tension. So that's about perfect. You still want your swivels to spin, so like that, swivels spin. So you want that if they don't spin or they struggle to spin, you've got that too tight. So that's that. So 36 gauge. Let me bring you in a little close, obviously, so you can see what I'm doing. So let me pop you about there. So I want to lock in this just to make it a little bit better. Move you in slightly. Do I need you in a bit closer? There we are, that's a lot better. There we are, and that's a lot better. So I want to move this up so that bit's sticking out. So where's my ceramic tweezers? So before I forget, I'm getting ahead of myself. So when you're doing an alien, okay, you've got to do your decor the opposite way to the way you're comfortable wrapping. So I'm comfortable wrapping my aliens over the top. So when you do your decor, you got to do it the opposite way. So I'm going to do this part, which is more or less like a little Clapton. I'm going to be wrapping it from underneath. Now, if you're opposite and you prefer wrapping from underneath, do your decor over the top. If you understand what I'm saying, but like I say, you can always ask questions if you're not quite sure. So I'm just going to get this and load it into that bit of wire there. There we are. So that's that. So good thing about this little device is I can start straight from the bottom there. So this is just a normal Clapton. Make sure your drill's in the correct position. So you want to be holding your wire 90-degree angle. I won't be holding my spool very tightly. I just want it loose because I want to be able to move that decor on my core wire like that. So I'm going to get it going. Make sure your drill is in the opposite way you're comfortable in wrapping. And we'll get started. So I've got it started like that. So at this point, if for whatever reason you go wrong or you double back onto yourself, don't worry, reverse and then correct your mistake. That's the only part of this build you can do that. So I'm going to speed this up to the fastest speed. Like I say, keeping it at 90-degree angle. I'm not holding my spool too tight, just so that decal moves. But for whatever reason you are holding it too tight, do not worry. There is a way you can get it off just by reversing your drill, but I'll show you that soon. So you're getting about there. So I'm going to just move that so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to move it back a bit. There we are. Adjust my, there we are, focus. Oh, hello, D. Hello, Hammond Coils. Thanks for joining, mate. Thanks for joining. Today I'm doing a 4-quart alien, if you're wondering. Thanks for joining. So I'm going to carry on now, 90-degree angle, wrapping it the opposite way, not holding my spool too tight. So I'm going to start off slow just to get going, and then once I'm going, I'm going to just let it rip. So sometimes my mic drowns out the drill, sometimes it doesn't. So I hope I'm not shouting. So like I say, I'm doing my decal off a slightly bigger wire, or 2 gauges bigger, because I'm adding a core. I'm doing a 4-quart alien. So I'm not holding my spool too tight, just holding it lightly because I do want that decal to move off the core wire. So I'm just going to go more or less 3/4 of the way because I do have extra wire than what I need. But I like to have extra wire to play with, obviously, in my chuck and on my swivel. So I definitely want about halfway, I'd say about 3/4 of the way. So thanks for joining, guys. I appreciate it. So you need, like I say, just slightly more wire for your decal when you're doing aliens. Go a bit extra across your wire because once you snip it, it will recoil a bit. So you need to take that into consideration as well. So wherever I stop and cut, it'll move a bit. So I'm going to keep it going a bit longer. So I'm going to stop it about there. That should be enough for the single coil that I am doing. So I'm going to leave a tail on there. I want a tail on there, so it's easier for stretching. There we are. And I don't know if you noticed, but it did move back as I cut it off there. So I'm just going to test it. So it does move off the decal. So let me get you a bit closer so you can see what I am talking about. You need to be a little bit closer. Let's do that. So that's a lot better. So what I'm wanting to be able to do is to move my core. So can you see how at the end there I can move it? So I don't want to stretch it too much, but it does move off there. So what I'm going to quickly do is just snip this, still leaving a bit of a tail on there, so you can see a little bit better. So now that I've snipped that tail off, I can see how I can move that on the decal. That's what I want. I want to be able to move it. Now, for whatever reason, if you do hold your spool too tight and that will not budge, keep your drill in the same position, same rotation that you're doing it. Pinch at this end, start your drill going off, and it should eventually give way. Keep it going until your core comes off your decal. So let me just move you out there so you can see a bit of what I'm doing. here. So I did it to about here, and then when I cut it, it recoiled about there. So let me just take this autofocus off. So it did recoil just a little bit back there like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chop my wire here at the end. I'm going to very, very carefully pull my decore off. So you want to be very, very careful. You don't want to snag it at this point yet. Now I do the stretch method, I don't do the pull method. Or do I? I don't know how you say it. Maybe DW Hammond Coils can explain it. I stretch it first rather than hold it and naturally let it stretch as I go along. So I won't be wasting this wire. This wire will get used for something else, so I'll just move it away for the moment. I'm going to grab my 4 cores of 26 gauge and I'm just going to make sure everything's good. So I want to load these into my core holder, but I want them all parallel and straight together. So this is why I use this core holder, because it keeps all your wires flat and parallel next to each other, which is what I want. So I'm just running my fingers down just to make sure they're all parallel and next to each other. And then I'm going to load it here into this core holder. So I am using 4 wires. There is a divot in the center, but I'll just put sort of it in the center as much as I can. But there is a little divot there to give me a little bit of help to get my wires nice and straight, which they are. So I'm going to lock that bit in there. So this core holder, I got this from the Friendly Coil Factory in France, and basically inexpensive. It's metal, okay, and it's got obviously teeth here, and it's very durable, very lovely. I don't think you'll spend more than 30 quid even on shipping to the UK. So yeah, it is a lifesaver if you're making coils. So I'm running my fingers all the way down. So I've got some little bits here. That's why I always do myself extra wire to play with, just for things like this. So if I need to cut, watch your eyes and keep everything straight. Now I do use a wire guide. I'm just using this because it's what I got with my Daedalus Pro kit, and it just helps obviously keep my wires straight as I'm doing the alien. So there's loads out there that you can get, but I think they're more or less plastic. There's different ones on different sites for making coils. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab my wires here, making sure they're all parallel and straight. Slide my wire guide onto there like so, and just move it all the way to the end just here. Yeah, that's what I've got. This is what I'm using here. Now my eyes are not great as it is, but it just helps so I can see all the detail that I'm doing with my wire build. So it is a bit warm. So cheers to whatever you're drinking. I'm drinking a cuppa at the moment, a cup of tea, I have a vape. I will open the beer a bit later. Lovely. Yeah. If I could do my coils the way I do them without them, I would happily do it without them. But like I say, I wear glasses as well, but my eyesight isn't great as well. And when I'm close up, I also get a lot of detail as well. So same again, I'm just going to put my swivel here, obviously to load my wires in. I'll just prepare that by running my fingers down again, making sure that they're all parallel. I'm going to stick an L in by that, making sure I'm pulling all these wires nice and taut. So I'm pulling against the drill as well, so I'm pulling this way as I do the L. So same again, I'm going to load them in, making sure that they're all parallel, obviously holding this way against the drill to make them taut. And then I'm going to do the same where I'm going to just wrap these wires around to lock it in like so. And then again, I'm going to move my vise across a bit and then lock everything in. Now that's a bit too slack for the way I like to do it. Not everybody's the same, but I like it sort of like in between where it's taut enough, but there's a bit of slack in there. I also make sure that this end doesn't come apart, which is slightly doing. There we are. Just lock that in a bit more. So again, I'm going to make sure that it moves, which my swivels do move, which is good. I'm going to make sure my guide moves freely, like that. So I'm not too bothered about this end. As long as I get a good enough amount of alien there, I should have enough to make a coil. So yeah, that moves nicely all the way up and all the way down, which is how I want it, moving freely. So now for the stretch. Now at this point, very educated. I know. I mean, I don't with the lives vaping bit. I think I might be clashing with somebody else, but I do get a few more people, obviously on the replay crew. But yeah, I think because people use pre-made coils, they're not that bothered unless you're into making coils like I am, which it's no problem. You know, this gives you a bit of knowledge about what coil makers go through to make coils. I mean, I just make coils for myself. I don't do them professionally. So, yeah, but people that are into making coils and wanting to learn how to build, hopefully they come across this video. Like I say, my lives are just slightly different because I make my coils. So yeah, I try and do my best. Vaping bit, mate, I try and do my best. So I'm using a clamp, this clamp here, set of 3 that I got from Aldi again. This is what I'm going to use to stretch. So what I'll do is I'll move that so you can't see it with the chat. I'll move it up slightly so you can see obviously what I'm doing. It's always good to know, John. But like I say, I'm not shitting on anybody that does does buy coils or anything. It is hard work. But I've been doing this for over 10 years now, and I've never lost the buzz to do it. So I'm going to put my binoculars back on. So like I say, when it comes to stretching your decor, I cannot tell you how to stretch your decor, unfortunately. It's all about feel. You want to understretch it, so you've got a bit of a pinch going on. If you overstretch it at this point, then game over. You're going to have to do another decor. So it's something you're going to have to play with. I can't say stretch it this far because depending on what size length coil you're doing, obviously your decor is going to be a different length, and I can't say pull it to this length, which you can't. So as well, excuse me, as well as feel, I obviously use these yeah. Vaping bit funny. So I also do it by feel, but I also use these as well because I know what I'm looking at. I look for that corkscrew sort of thing, but I tend to understretch, so I've got a bit of a pinch going on here as I'm making my coils as I go along. Like I say, you overstretch at this point, game over. You're gonna have to do another decore. So I like to understretch it, so I've got a bit of a pinch as I'm doing it, and then you're all right. But as you're doing the alien bit, it's not like a Clapton coil there. If you go wrong, you can back up. You can't. You just got to be committed and carry on. I have had a week where my coil build went completely tits up. So it does happen to even us that does know how to make coils. So enough waffling from me. So I'm just going to bend that tail up a bit. So I'm trying not to snag it, pull it or stretch it or anything until obviously I need to do that. So what I'm going to do is, using my block of wood just here, I'm going to obviously use this clamp to obviously clamp my wire into place like that. Just clamp it into place. Hey, slow is good. Slow is good. Slow is good. So with my, obviously my pliers, I'm going to grab the other end that's also got a tail. Obviously being very, very careful not to let go of the wire. Now, if you're in the middle of a stretch and the wire comes out of your pliers, don't panic because it'll probably all swirl up and curl up. Undo it and give it a bit more of a stretch and it'll straighten out, as providing you haven't overstretched it already. So I'm just going to give it a little stretch. I'm going to pull it. So I'd say I want it about there. So once I've done that, I'm going to release my pliers because it will roll a bit. Now at this point, do not snag it. Be very, very careful with it. Try not to snag it, which I'm trying not to. So I get my stretch to about there. So it's, I'd say that's understretched, I'm hoping. So about like that. So I'm being very careful not to snag it, because then you'll get imperfections obviously with your coil. So I want this. So what I'm going to do with this end, which is what I'm putting on the floor underneath, so I don't stretch it, snag it or anything, I'm just going to cut this tail off, because obviously I don't want that tail end to snag with my carpet as well. So I'm making very sure that I'm not snagging it, I'm not pulling it, I'm being very light and gentle with it. I'm just going to adjust a little bit like that, making sure I haven't done anything. Then I'm going to release my wire just here, like that. So, time to get you guys close again, so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to get you about there. Bend you down a tad, like that. So I'm just going to very carefully Right, that's a bit better. Sorry, the mic didn't go or anything. I had this in my mouth and I didn't want to stretch it. So you're nice and close up there like that. So wires parallel like that as I want it. So I'm just going to move my guide over. I'm going to very gently just lift up one of these wires and poke that decal through like that. So I don't know if you can see it there, but I've just poked it through the wire like that. I'm going to use my guide just to put it straight up. So this bit that I've squashed here, don't worry about it, because now what you're going to do is, this is the part where you establish how much pinch and stuff that you need to do your coil. How's it going, sub bottom guy? Thanks for joining, mate. Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Sub home guy, nice of you to drop in. So like I say, this, you're just establishing your pinch and stuff that you need. So your first bit, you're going to be doing a couple of slow wraps and just establishing what kind of pinch you need and then holding it there. Now this part, I don't do it quick like some coil builders you might see. I like to do it slow and steady. As soon as I start going too fast is when I start messing up. So make sure your drill is in the opposite way you were doing your decal. So now I'm wrapping over the top. So I'm just going to grab my wire with a pinch. I'm going to rest it on my bench a bit. So also with aliens, you don't hold this alien part, this twisty part, 90-degree angle like you would a normal Clapton. You want to be sort of on a slant like that. So you want to be away from the drill or away from which way you're doing it. So if you're doing it the way I am, I just want to lean slightly ahead of the game. And if you're doing it the opposite way, obviously you're going to be leaning that way slightly ahead of the game. So I want to be leaning towards my swivel, basically. So let's get started. So I'm going to get a little bit of a pinch, and then I am going to start to do a wrap. Now if I need to pinch, which I do, you want to keep that pinch going and let it slide through your fingers. So I've got a nice decent pinch on it so far. I did under stretch it, so I've got some decent pinch on it so far. As you can see, it's coming together. I'm not taking my eyes off it to address anything, so if I miss any of the comments, I do apologize. So I've got a nice pinch going on there just nicely. Soon as I hit my guide, that should move obviously with this alien and also help keep those wraps just a little bit tighter. So I'm going to increase just a little bit. Now as you increase your speed, obviously your pinch needs to release just ever so slightly, ever so slightly. So it looks like I've got a good stretch. So I don't really want to go any faster than that really, because this is when I'm going to mess up and I don't want to mess up. So leaning slightly towards my swivel, keep it going, keep it nice and consistent. Don't release or increase your pinch in any way, because that's when you're going to get imperfections. And obviously leaning towards your spool. So as I'm doing this, obviously the guide is also moving with it. Like I say, this bit might be a bit slow and tedious for you guys, but I'm sorry. But like I say, if I go too fast, I'm going to mess up and I don't want to. So I have increased just slightly. But like I say, I don't want to push my luck with this one. So I'm sorry if you go off camera. I'm not going to readjust or stop. I'm just going to keep going. So like I say, if you're commenting and asking questions, I'm sorry I can't see you at the moment. I just don't want to mess up. I want to stay concentrated and focused on what I'm doing. So I did mess up just there, as you can see. So there already I have messed up. Just there. And it's very hot. So hopefully I haven't messed up the coil build. Otherwise I will be starting again, probably. And it's very hot, like I say. And that is my cue to put on my battery bank. So because I've had to stop it, I have let go. So I am hoping that I still get a decent amount of coil. So let's start again, and obviously making sure that your wire doesn't collapse or anything like that. So let's try again. So like I say, you've messed up here. You cannot do anything about it. You have to carry on. So let's get going again, getting a decent pinch on. So I'm trying to get going again, which I think I might have screwed up royally. So if you get situations like this where your cores collapse, just take your pliers and give it a little pinch. Move that over. Try again. So like I say, as soon as I speed up, that's when I mess up. And same here. So this is sticking just slightly. So I'm going to get going just a little bit. And yeah. So this is new to me because I don't normally do 4 cores. So it's slightly new to me as well. So I'm going to get going again and try and recover where I went wrong. And it looks like this core guide isn't helping me today. So let's carry on. Like I say, if you mess up, there's nothing I'm afraid you can do. You're just going to have to hope for the best and carry on. So what's messing me up is this core guide, which doesn't normally. I need to make sure these are flat, which they are not. So, like I say, not doing good at the moment. So there we are, and I'm off again. So obviously try not to over pinch or under pinch or cause too much stress that this wire guide doesn't move, which for some reason it isn't. So let's have a look at what I've got here. So this coil will probably be an absolute dud, because I don't think I'm going to have enough wire there to so no, my wires have collapsed on me. So that's the thing, guys, things do get tricky with a multi-core build. It does get tricky. Yeah, so this coil looks to be a complete flop again. So no. So this is not worked out, this coil build today. So I'm not going to recover from that. There's not enough for there for me to continue. So whoever's still in the chat, how would you like me to continue? Do you want me to obviously decore all this and start again and do another decore and carry on? So either way, I can take this wire off. Trial and error, that is true. It doesn't always go to plan, even for me that's been doing it for so many years. Trial and error. So I suppose I'm not going to give up. I'm just going to carry on. I'll do another decore. I'll do another decore. I'll do another decore and try again. Shall I? So I don't think I'm going to recover from those wires either. So I will have to straighten them out as well. So I appreciate everybody that has stayed so far. It's just how it goes. So I will carry on. I won't give up at the first hurdle. These videos are all about it going wrong. So what I'm going to quickly do, because there is kinks in these wires, I'm just going to quickly straighten them out again. Just going to quickly straighten them out. So I do have some kinks in there. So like I did before, I am just going to straighten them out. There we are. And we're back straight. And I'll just quickly do this with all of them. That way I don't have to mess about pulling off some more decors. Some more 26 gauge. So in a way, I'm glad this happens as well, because nothing ever goes to plan. So if this happens and you think to yourself, oh, I've messed up, throw all my wire away, there's no need to. Just do it again. Do what I'm doing. If you find that you've bent your wire, just do what I'm doing. Just stick it in there, run your pliers straight down, and that way you can recover your wire as well. So like I say, in a way I'm glad that this has happened, because then I can show you how I would recover and just carry on. And it's one of the reasons why I like extra wire as well. Yeah, it does. So we're back straight again with that one. Let's go to the fourth one. There we are. And I'll straighten this one out as well. So you do need patience. And obviously, even though I do make coils, I don't make them daily. Because funny enough, coils, when you're using NI80, do last probably a lot longer than using, say, Kenthal or something like that. Kenthal tends to obviously depreciate a lot quicker, but in my Bonza RDA, I have actually had those coils in for about, I'd say, a month now, or maybe just over a month. So I'm putting my 24 gauge back in. 24 gauge back in. Now I do have some bits obviously on my swivel. So I'm just going to take them off just so it makes it easier. There we are, and same with this one. That's it. So I'm back clean. So again, so you can see what I'm doing. Yes, Sabom guy. What are you packing today? Or what is your choice? So I'm going to quickly again do another decor. I'm not going to give up at the first hurdle. Suppose it makes slightly good content as well. Things don't always go to plan. So again, not too tight or straight. Just let me keep an eye on this. We seem to be good so far. That's kicked in. So I don't need to show you how to do this bit. You've seen me do it. So I'm just going to quickly whip up another decal. So same again, hold it on opposite way to where you're going to wrap. I like to wrap over the top. So I'm going to do the decal from underneath, like doing a normal Clapton. Only this is a different variant. I'm adding a wire, so I need to do my decal off a thicker wire, which is 24 gauge. So I'm going to just let this rip, not holding it too tight. And I'm just going to let it rip and go straight across. So same again, not holding my spool too tight. I'm just letting it swiftly go through my hands, because obviously I want that decal to move. So we're looking good. Right angle, and keep it going. So if you hashtag replay crew, or you just jumped in, I'm having to do another decal. I messed it up. So same again, I'm going to go to about 3/4 of the way down, because obviously that bit of recoil, it'll come back, and then we'll get going again. I'll set up everything again, and then hope for the best. And hopefully this time it'll be a bit. I think this time when I stretch it, I'll stretch it a bit more than what I need to do. So thanks for the people that have probably jumped back. I went wrong. I'm doing another decal. I've had to do another decal. So I think about there should be. I'll go a bit, tidgy bit more, or slightly more. So I'll do it to about there. Leave a tail on, and it will recoil back a bit, like so. Making sure that it moves, which it does. That's what I want it to do. So I'll cut off that, cut the end of this off again, slide my decal off. So that's another decal. Now, you're probably thinking to myself, why couldn't I have maybe had some extra decals already made? Probably could, but doesn't make. I don't think that's fun. Like I say, if stuff goes wrong, I want to be able to tackle it and show you how to do it straight away. So, grab my coils again, making sure that they're all parallel and next to each other the way I want it to be. So there we are. So again, I'm going to load them up into this core holder as center as possible. Like I say, there is a little divot there, so you can sort of get them dead on. So again, run my fingers straight down it to make sure that they're all parallel. Where did I put my guide? So put my guide on again. Now I know this didn't work the first time, but I'm hoping it helps me out the second time so it moves. Again, I'm going to stick a little L in there just to help with the wrapping stage. Now again, I'm going to just run my fingers down, make sure they're all parallel. Come on. There's always one that has to mess about. So again, pull, and then I'm going to just wrap it round. Trying to keep it as straight as possible and as parallel as possible. There we are. Just the way I want it. Well, not quite. I want it a bit more tighter than that. So I'm going to nudge that over. That's a bit better. That moves freely like I want it. Decore time. So like before, I'm going to get one end. I'm going to bend that straight wire up. Clamp it down on that and grab my pliers and pull. So you want it like a corkscrew, and like I say, if you overstretch, it's game over for you. You're gonna have to do it again. Now wouldn't that be an absolute bitch if I overstretched it and I had to do another decore? So I'm going to pull to about there, making sure I don't snag it in any way. I'm going to chop the end off, so less snagging on the carpet for me. I'm going to release that, move that out of the way. I'm going to slide this bit through. I'm going to pull that through just a bit, use my guide to whack it straight to the end of there. Like so. Right, I think it's got to that time of the stream where I'm going to crack open my beer because I think I need one. So thanks for everybody who's dipping in and out, who stayed. I appreciate it. It is very warm here and I'm sweating. So something cool. Hopefully this beer has defrosted, which I believe it has, and still nice ice and cold. Using my Bogan cap. Secretly I do. So cheers guys. Coffee stout. Perfect. Always a nice cheap bit of beer there. It's normally my go-to. I do actually go beer shopping for my live streams. So let's start again. So I'm going to have a bit of a pinch in there, drill in the opposite direction, and then I'm going to just get going. So that's perfect. I've got it on like that. So hopefully I'm not going to have the same problem with my guide I had with my other build. Only this time, because I've stretched it slightly more, I'm not having to put too much tension as well on the cores to make them collapse. So I'm gonna speed up just a tidgy bit. Keeping my pinch consistent. Having that angle just slightly more towards the swivel. So I'm going to keep it at that speed. I'm not going to go any faster. So obviously I don't want my wires to collapse in any way. So I have messed up again. So I am just going to go slow, guys. I don't want to go too fast because I am messing up the build. So again, if you mess up or like me, get too bored and start going too fast, then that's when you start messing up. So let me just get this going again. So like I say, I am just going to go slow. Because it looks like my guide isn't working the way I want it to work. So it looks like I'm going to have to pause, move to achieve my goal today. So I'm going to just stop there, move that over because that does feel a bit. All right, what's that snagging on? And that's snagging on my sock. Thanks a lot. So that's snagged on my sock a bit, which is not what I wanted it to do. So I've probably lost a little bit of my wire there. So I'm just going to make sure this is flat and the way I want it. Start again. Start off slow just to get that groove again. So like I said, I am not going to speed up. I'm just going to keep it like that. There is going to be some imperfections in this, but like I say, it's me that's vaping it, so it's not much of an issue with any inconsistencies that it may have. If I was selling them, then maybe, yeah, I might be slightly different. But because I'm vaping it, if there's slight inconsistencies in there, I'm not too bothered about it. So as you can see, I am going slow. I'm not going too fast. I'd rather do it this way. It's easier for me to do it that way. But obviously people watching, it might not be that exciting to do. So I'm sorry if this bit's a bit boring. I apologise, but I want to get at least a decent bit of coil to obviously finish this stream for you lovely people that have taken the time to come and watch me make coils. And chill out and spend some time with me. So if you've commented, I'm sorry if I haven't seen it. I'm trying to concentrate because this is second time hopefully lucky. I don't want to speed up. Well, I do want to speed up, but I know if I speed up, I am going to mess this coil up royally. So I am going slow. Steady pace for me to do this. This is the first 4-core alien that I've done. So if it was a 3-core alien, it would probably go a bit better than how it's gone today. But that's the challenge of making coils. And to be fair, I love that challenge. I love it. Because I like to, excuse me picking my nose on camera, but I do have an itch. I'm keeping it nice and slow, so like I say, I apologise if this is a bit boring, but I want to get it consistent and at least have a decent coil to build today. I'm just going to stop there, move that across, because that does go a bit, that has been going a bit stiff as I get towards it. It might be because I'm using more than 3 cores for this particular guide and it can't handle it. Maybe, I have no idea. So like I say, I am sorry if this is a bit boring for you, but I want to get at least one decent coil out of all this. And I'm trying not to hold it too tight so my wires collapse. So like I say, I am very sorry that this bit is very slow. So I am getting nearly to the end of the bit that I need to use, and hopefully that'll give me enough just to make one nice coil. So I'm just going to slow it there and move that a bit. I'm just going to keep an eye. I am getting, like I say, to the end of that piece of wire. So keeping a nice pinch on there. I'm going to go as far as I can without messing up. So I should have enough to do a decent 4 or 5 wrap coil on there. So I have sort of got to a bit on here which I can't get past on my hand. So I need to start moving, and that's when I've messed up again. It shouldn't be too much of a problem anyway. I've got a decent amount of piece there, and these little bits that I've messed up here I will use for legs. Legs to go in the post holes. So there we are. Not the best coil build, but a coil build nevertheless. So I am just going to... So thanks for the people that have jumped back in. I appreciate it. I'm onto my beer now. I do need it. So cheers. And a vape. There we are. So I'm just going to look at where I'm going to pop that off, throw it away. So I am going to cut it about there. So I should get a decent amount of coil off that. So unfortunately this week this end bit will get wasted because I messed up and I don't think I'll be able to make a coil out of that to put in a burrow. Anyway, so we eventually got there. Like I say, there is struggles. So if you do come across them, don't worry about it. Just correct, keep going on and keep persevering and you should be absolutely fine. So I'm just going to do a bit of housekeeping and just get everything away and tidy. So I'll just move you back here for now. So wire I don't need now. So wire away. Just pop that away. Get rid of my chair. Put my little guide away. And I'll show you this up close. Right. So there we are. Am I on? Yes, I am. I'm unlocked. There we are. That's a bit better. So that is the wire. Trying to see if I can get it a bit better than that. So I know it is hard to see. Oh, there we are. That's a bit better. There we are. So that is your in a bit. It's a bit shiny, but there's a 4-core alien using 26 gauge for my core and 36 gauge for my outer wrap, which is normally my preferred wire to use, 26 and 36. Only this week it is a 4-core. So I think a 2.5 millimeter coil should work absolutely perfect with this RTA. So 2.5 millimeter rod or coil master rod that I'm using in my jig. So 2.5, and like I say, I'm using it coil master jig that you can buy. You can buy loads of different jig sets and coil sets out there. If you're wondering where I got it, I've had mine years now. So I am going to hold the flat bit against the rod like so, and then I'm going to start wrapping. So your first wrap is always the trickiest one. So 2, 3, 4, so that has twisted a little bit. Not to worry though. Let me just see how this is working out. So I think it should get about 5 wraps. Should work out nicely for it. Like that. Yeah, 5 wraps. So I've got, like I say, just enough 5 wraps. Five wraps. I'll give you a close-up. Thank you for staying who has stayed. I appreciate it. So there we are, 4-core Alien, 5 wraps, 2.5 millimeter. And as you can see, there's a slight ridge in the center. There is some imperfections on this side. I'm not too bothered. I'm vaping it. I'm not selling them. So the mod that I am going to be using, because normally I just use my building mod, a regulated mod basically for my ohms and stuff. So because I'm using a regulated mod, I might as well just jump on straight to the regulated mod. So the regulated mod that I'm going to use is a 10-year-old or 9 to 10-year-old mod, and my first regulated box mod, because before that I was on Mex before I started regulated box mods. So give that a bit of a refresh from myself so I can see what I'm doing, how I'm doing. So this is what I will be using. There we are, it's a bit better. Is what I will be using. This was my first regulated box mod that I ever owned, which is the Smock X Cube 2. I think one of the first side fire button mods that came out that also lights up. That is the top. So as you can see, there is a bit of wear on it. I did use it a lot with it being my first regulated mod. So originally when this came out, it was 160 watts out of the box, but you could get a firmware update, which is that thing there that was only for firmware updates at the bottom. And the firmware, I think, changed it to 220 watts, was it? But we'll have a look. I'll have a quick look. So battery door, magnetics, just like that. That is a bit dirty in that. Sorry about that, guys. So got some Batteries on charge. Just got some, I think these are Sony VCT5As. These are 6As with some OBD wraps on. So I do have these marked, so I know how to use them because I rotate them. And I have separate mods for separate stuff. So I have mods, batteries for series, batteries for parallel, batteries for triple, and obviously single for max. Yeah, that is pretty old. So let me turn it on and then you can see it flash. So 5 clicks obviously to turn it on. And that is on. So I just want to see, like I said, it says 160 on the front, but after a firmware update, like I said, oh no. So I was wrong. So it went from, I don't remember it being 100, going from 100 and thingy to 100 and thingy. I'm sure it went up higher than that. Or I could be wrong. But I thought it went up to 122 watts. So let me just move that down a bit. I'm just putting that down so I don't forget about it. I'm just putting it down to about 40 watts. Yes, I do love a booby wrap. So when you press the trigger, obviously there's no atomizer on there now, so it flashes red. It does flash multicolor colours, but with me being a pink lover, I think last time I had it set to obviously pink. So you could fit up to 25 millimeters. I think this more or less came out when the first big smoke tank came out, which was the TFV4, I believe. And just everybody went crazy on that tank because it was the first sub-ohm tank that you could run over 100 watts. Because back then it was all Atlantis's sub-ohm mini tanks by Kangatech and Aspire. So I'm just going to loosen those post holes up. And then we'll get the coil set up. So I know it's too long now. So I'm just going to pop that in. So I know that's too long. So let's start with, let's start with a 6mm, which I think will be more or less good. Watch your eyes. Watch your eyes. So for this coil, I am going to go down another level to 5mm. It is quite a beefy coil. That's why I did it at 2.5. A 3mm coil wouldn't have been any room in there to move. So I'm just going to take that off, pop that through, and pop that through like that, and wriggle down like so. So I've got that down. I'm just going to lock that in. Can you see what I'm doing? No, I apologize. It's because of that coil. So there we are. So that's a bit better. So I'm in. I'm going to screw down my post holes. So that's a bit roundy. So get my trusted black one out, which is precise, because people get post holes and they think that the post screws have rounded off, and half the time it isn't, it's your tool. But I've got this black one that's more or less precise, 1.5, and stuff that always behaves as if it's rounded isn't rounded really. So you want it about that. You can have it poking up just above those side airflow, but not too much. So that should be your limit. So I'm just going to get it in the position I want, which is about there. So it basically follows the ridge of the RDA. There we are. And simple distance from left to right. So I'm just going to take that off, make sure my mod is zeroed out. Is this a new coil? Yes. So it's starting off at a 0.2 ohm coil. So I'm going to heat and pinch this until it's where I need it to be. So let me get in a bit closer there for you. There we are. So you can see a bit easier what I'm doing. So I've got it about 40 watts, should be good. I'm just going to slightly introduce heat to it. I am actually going to turn it down to about 25 watts and go from there. So making sure that you can still see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start introducing some heat very slowly, obviously strumming at the same time, keeping an eye on any hot spots. Sometimes it helps pulling them apart. So I want to introduce heat. So as you can see there, I have got some hot spots just there. Got a nice colour there as well. Nice colour going on there. So slowly introducing, keeping an eye on hot spots, strumming. So I do have a hot spot there. So I'm just going to introduce a bit more heat. Keep strumming. And another thing as well, you can always use your coiling rod and just pop it through a couple of times, just so it'll help. Like that. So there is still some hot spots in there. You're just going to have to keep strumming and working them out. So I am going to give that a bit of a stretch. There we are, and we're starting to look a little bit better. There we are. So as you can see, you want it glowing in. You want it glowing from the outside, the inside to the out, not outside to the in, sorry. There we are. And that's looking good already. Perfect. So I am going to push up the wattage a bit. So to about 50. See how we stand there, and we're good. Making sure there's no hot spots. Now I'm gonna bump it up a bit more. Just for whatever reason, I'm vaping at higher watts. I don't want to be occurring any hot spots at that wattage. So there was one in there which has gone. So let me just get it up to about 100 watts. I'm not going to vape it at 100 watts. It's just making sure that if I was, there won't be any hot spots occurring at that wattage. And that's perfect. So I'm going to turn that back down. And we'll get a final wattage in a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release this. There we are. Because I want to zero out my mod again. Thank you to whoever's still here. So I'm going to zero it out. Let that cool down for a bit. So I'm going to let that cool down for a couple of seconds. I'm going to have another drink. There we are. I'm also vaping on the D Pro and Descendant that I built a couple of weeks back. Beautiful. And in that one, I've got some Dark Star scones as well. There we are. So that's cooled down a bit. So I'm going to go again. Is this a new coil? Yes. So that's bumped it up to a 0.27 ohms. Now, do I think that's accurate? Probably not. I don't think this mod was that accurate. But you are looking about the same sort of thing there. Or within that vicinity of that anyway. But yeah, that's done and glowed up and glowing from the inside out. So let's wick it. Don't do that when it's hot. So the cotton that I'm still using is still this stuff here. I'm using it until I run out because my preferred is Kendo Gold or just normal Muji, or Firebolt cotton as well. I also like as well. So get some cotton. I shouldn't need too much, about half that, split in half. Get any straggly ends off there. Just want to do that, make sure it's nice, still nice and fluffy. And then I'm going to roll the end like so. So even that is still a bit too much, so I'm going to pull off again some more. Same again, I'm just going to roll it, just make it nice. Roll the end into a point to push through. There we are, that's perfect. So that's how I want it. I don't want it too much, too tight in there. I want it pretty, sort of like just nice. It's not too tight, not too soft. I find that with this RTA, the way I prefer to vape it, I don't like it packed in there with cotton. So, time for my small scissors, small scissor time. So what I want to do is I just want to sort of measure it and cut off about there. So I don't think I will need to thin this out, just fluff it up. So I'm going to go to the edge of the deck, which should be just right. So I'm sorry if I was out of camera view, I just want it to be just right. So like I say, I'm not going to be thinning this out, I just want to fluff it up. The wick is thin enough to go into those wicking holes. So I'm just going to carefully push that through. So I know this probably looks on camera that I'm forcing it through. I'm not. It's still nice and light and fluffy in there with plenty of room to obviously wick. So you want it about like that. You want it poking through a bit, not hitting all the way to the bottom, but you've got enough there. And then same on the other side. So I'm going to do the same, just cut about to the edge of the deck, like so. Get rid of that, which is just about perfect. And then same again, I'm not going to thin it out. I am just going to fluff it up, help with that capillary action. And then I'm just going to sort of like swoop it in. Swoop it in. So there's plenty of room for it to move about in there. It's not packed, but it's not so thin that it's going to flood there like that. So that's all wicked up nicely. So this week I'm going to be using the same juice that I used last week, which is a peanut butter one that I'm testing. It is mixed with something else, but that's as much as I can because it's off the same person. My G14 classified juice is off. But this isn't so much of a secret, but it's peanut butter and something else, and it's absolutely tasty. So that's what I'm going to be using. So let's get you a bit like that. And let's do some drip. Boop, boop. So I want to do that. Press. So that has changed now that it's cooled down a bit more. I will get a final reading just in a second. Do that and then it'll slip up because it's now jumped up to 0.41. But like I say, that might be my fault slightly because I didn't let it cool down straight away, obviously, for me to... There we are. So that's nicely saturated there, as you can see. So I am going to pull this off. And then cancel that out, zero that out again, and then we'll get another reading. So I'm going to pop that in there. There's not any particular orientation it needs to be in. Just make sure it's nice and tight, but not too tight that you can't get in. I want airflow all the way open. Seems all right. So zero this out again. I'm going to pop that back on. Is this a new coil? Yes. So same again. For whatever reason, it's now gone to a 0.29. So why it went up to that, I have no idea. So that's nice. So let's fill this up. So like always, I never fill it all the way up, just in case I need to adjust my coil or anything. So I just put enough that if I have to get to my coil, I can just dip the tank upside down without losing any of my juice and go straight in there. So I'm going to pop that straight on. I'm going to make sure there's no flooding, which there isn't. Give it a little tester, and there we are. There you have it. The Serpent Elevate with a 4-core Alien, 2.5mm ID, ohming now at basically a 0.29, 0.23. And I've currently got that on 32 watts, but I think I want to start it at about 40 watts. There we are. So I'm just going to tidy up a bit, then I'll go back to FaceTime and we'll actually talk about it a bit. I find myself not talking about the RTA that much, and I'm assuming that doesn't make good content either, especially when I'm supposed to be talking about it. So let me just put some stuff away and then I'll go into full view or FaceTime view. There we are, put that away. So I'm just going to give this another check. Definitely no juice leaking out of that. So thanks for sticking around. We are done and I'm just tidying some stuff away and going back to FaceTime. Put that away. That away. Get rid of my binoculars now. There we are. Move that out of the way. So thanks everybody who has stuck about. Put that on there just so I don't get me matte. Done. Stick that there. That's what we're doing. Now I'm just going to move you back up like so and move you back up top about here. There we are. Bring you up just a touch more so there you can see a bit of a wide angle of my room there. Make sure I don't lose that. That's very important. Yes, definitely. It's been a stressful one, but in a good way. In a good way. It won't be cool or great if everything just worked. So I know it sounds stupid, but I'm actually glad stuff goes wrong so I can help. So I can help correct it if something goes wrong. Make sure that that thingy isn't on there. Not too bad. And we've been running a couple of hours. There we are. So you can still hear me, still mic, still on in it. Yeah, definitely. So I am vaping on this. I haven't got my glass on me today. So cheers. So the Serpent Elevate on the X Cube 2, and I've got that lighting up pink because pink is my favourite colour. So the X Cube 2, when I first got it, I got to admit I was excited to get it. It was my first regulated mod, and a friend of mine used to say, you need to get yourself a regulated mod. If anything, it's just easier to make coils on for reading, firing and stuff. And if you've got coils that obviously you can't use on a mech, it's always good to have a regulated mod so you can pump that power in. So you've got more surface area and whatnot if you need to run more than what a mech would need to run through it. So I was very excited. I think the design and everything, the side fire button, because that whole piece there is the fire button. And I think it was one of the first that had the whole side fire. I might be wrong. I'm thinking maybe was there an SX Mini that was similar to that had a side fire? I don't know. But yeah, really excited. When it first came out, it was 160. But I don't know what's making me think that it went all the way up to 220. Or even 200. But no, it goes to 180. So you gained another 20 watts just with the update on it, which I didn't do. A friend of mine did it because he knew how to do it. So I'm bringing you back down. So I've got it on 40 watts. I've got the power as normal because you've got, I know you can't see it on there, but it came with 4 power settings: soft, normal, hard and max, which basically what some mods do now that give you that preheat feature where it'll heat up 5 or 10 watts above what you're thinking for that split second just to get those coils heated up. And that was it. Dual battery, and it looked quite nice. I mean, this always wasn't bare like this. I did have a zap wrap, so anybody who's watching or replay crew remember zap wraps. Yeah, it's a zap wrap. And then obviously the Serpent Elevate. Now, like I say, I'm normally a dual coil, big cloud chaser sort of person, and it actually came recommended to me, and I bought it thinking I wasn't going to like it. It's going to be one of those RTAs that's going to be a waste of money, and I'll probably end up getting rid of it and all that. But yeah, I was excited to do it. I've watched reviews on it, and it was good. And I thought, I'm going to have to try it. And I tried it, and I loved it. Straight away, got a coil on there. I think when I first got it, it had been my normal fuse Claptons, which I used to use. So this is probably my first alien that I vaped on it. But yeah, I was really excited to get it. Just with any vape mail, anybody who gets vape mail, doesn't matter if you're a reviewer or just somebody, it's always exciting to get vape mail. You can't wait to try it, get it built, see what it tastes like. But yeah, so like I say, the juice that I've got in here is peanut butter mixed with something else. That's all I can tell you about it because it's a juice that I'm testing. But yeah, really nice. So I'm going to have a 2 on this. I've got airflow, top airflow as well. I wasn't a top airflow type of person. And it was, I think, probably one of my, I think the first RTA that I'd got that had top airflow. Because I wasn't a top airflow fan. And I just think it looks nice as well. So anyway, like I was saying, still got no flooding, so I think I've got the wicking bang on. This can be a learning curve as well if you've never built on it. So it's really easy to underwick it and it flood, and then overwick it so you get dry hits with it. So peanut butter juice, 40 watts, let's give it a 2. Wow. Now this RTA, I've bumped it up to 50 watts. Now this RTA with this juice, totally different. Now not totally different in a bad way, but in these other two that I've tried, obviously my Bonza and this D Pro, it's more peanut buttery. How do I say it? Peanut buttery more than what the other flavour is in the juice. But with this one, it's like it's the other flavour that comes out more, and then you get that nice hint of peanut butter from it. Oh yeah. Now I think that might be just a bit too much wattage for that coil. So I'm going to put it down to 45 watts. Yeah, that is a lot better. Wow. I think that's what I like about different types of RTAs, whether it's single coil, dual coil, DL, RDL, or even MTL. Not that I'm an MTL vapor. I never have been an MTL vapor. It's just not my speed. And this mod, I've looked after it and it's still working good. And the good thing about this mod is it didn't matter where you pressed on your bar. It'd still fire, middle, or top. It used to fire every time. Excuse me. Do you even vape, bro? Anyway, let me have a drink. Wet the whistle a bit. So I'm going to pair this. I think peanut butter and coffee will go nice together. So let's do a nice little pairing. That's actually a quite nice pairing, that. Can't fault that at all. I think everything's just well balanced in that one. Well balanced. Nothing's really changed. I won't. Excuse me. So yeah, it hasn't really changed anything with that pairing. I'm still getting the coffee notes from the... Excuse me. Excuse me again. Still getting the coffee notes from the beer like I would if I were drinking it without a vape. And the juice hasn't changed in any way. It still get that nice taste. I nearly gave it away then, but yeah, the other flavour in the thing has stayed the same. It's more prominent in this setup than the peanut butter. But yeah, it's a really nice combo juice, this. Soon as I can start talking about this juice, I'll let you know. Some peanut butter vapes that I've tried, are either too strong with the peanut butter, and I don't know if you understand what I mean, but it can be too peanut butter to the point where it can be too harsh on the throat. Where this one, it's well balanced. There's no harshness to the peanut butter or anything. It's well balanced with the other flavour that's in the juice. So yeah, I think two RTAs that are single coils. The other one is also a nice little flavour banger, but when it comes to single coils, if I want to go, I always pick up this Serpent Elevate, and it's wicked nice as well. As you can see, the juice has gone down. There is a bubble or two in there. So let me just check on something, because something's come up on my thingy there. No, that's all right. That's all right. Okay, just making sure. So I know there's only just a couple of you now watching. Do you have any questions or anything? Have you enjoyed today's stream, even though it kind of went tits up, but we did recover from it? While I'm letting the couple of people that are still watching answering, I will say, YouTube, this isn't a promotion to buy anything. This is just for fun, educational. I'm not telling anybody to buy anything. Not that some of the stuff that I have you can even get anyway. So this video is only for educational purposes only. And to everybody that's viewed today on hashtag replay crew, if this is the sort of content that you enjoy, making coils, looking back on a bit of nostalgia of stuff back in the day, or even if you're new to vaping and wondering what we vaped on back in the day, and this is the sort of content that you do like, please consider hitting that subscribe button, liking and sharing, and obviously commenting as well. I appreciate all the support that I get so far. One view is better than no views, so I do get a good following. I do get a good following, and that's all it is. Don't want to be more successful? Yeah, but it's not always everybody's cup of tea. So if you know somebody who's getting into coils or likes building and sort of content that you think they like, please feel free to share. I do a live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. GMT UK time. So you can always catch me here every week where I share a bit more of my collection that I have. Same sort of format, unless I get anything new or vape mail, I might go on to that. Like my first stream, I did have the Bonza RDA, and I did a live with that. So, like I say, here every week, so you can always catch me every Wednesday, 8 p.m. I'm also on social media, Facebook, Threads, Instagram. Instagram is my preferred platform, so you'll always find me on there. My posts have been a bit skimpy past 2-3 weeks. I've just been busy with family and stuff, and that's why. But you will find me on Instagram. Have any questions, you can also comment on the video below, or even contact me through social media if you have any questions as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there, guys. I really appreciate all the support, everybody that has watched today, dipped in and dipped out. Hashtag replay crew. I love you guys too. You keep me going as well as all the live viewers. I do appreciate the support and love you all. So instead of carrying to Babylon, because I will do that, I do have a few clicks that I need to do before I finish up. So thank you. You're welcome, Vaping Bick. I haven't forgotten about what you said a couple of weeks ago about joining your live stream. Just give me a bit of time. I will message you and I will sort something out with you. It's just I'm a bit busy at the moment. So I do appreciate you watching, and everybody that's watching. Hashtag replay crew. Love you all. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you next week.